All right, welcome back, guys, for another lesson. Yesterday, we talked about the quadratic formula, and we talked about some special cases where when we're solving, we end up getting no real roots. Today, I'm going to show you one other situation that will sometimes arise, and we'll work through some examples and what they look like. Sorry for the little pause there. All right, so first example, we have f of x equals 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. This looks a lot like all the other problems that we've seen in this unit. And so we're going to use our quadratic formula to solve this just like we did the previous ones. So our quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, now my b in this particular example is 12. So I'm going to have x equals negative 12 plus or minus the square root. B again is 12, so we're going to have 12 squared minus 4. A here is 9. And c here is 4, divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 9. All right, so now this is the part where we're going to use our calculator, and we're going to calculate this part right here. I believe I introduced you last time. This part in here is actually called the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. But in our calculator, we're going to type in 12 squared minus 4 times 9 times 4. And what you're going to see when you do this is something that we haven't really seen much of before. But you are going to get a value of 0 inside of here. So now after rewriting, I have this, negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 0 divided by 18. Now, the square root of 0 is obviously 0. So that sort of negates our plus and our minus. It doesn't matter whether we add or subtract 0. We're going to end up with the same value in here. So what our answer is essentially going to be is x equals negative 12 divided by 18, which, if we reduce it, will end up being a negative 2/3. Now notice, this is only one value for x. This is a type of quadratic function where we only have one solution, where our parabola is only going to hit the x-axis in one spot. If we were to look at a graph of this, this is just going to be a rough sketch here, but our parabola would look something like this. This here would be our negative 2/3. So notice it's only crossing the x-axis at one spot. So we sometimes say that this is a quadratic with one solution. That one solution is negative 2/3. Remember last week when we were doing this, we often got two different places where the quadratic would cross. Something like negative 2 and positive 4. In this case, only one solution. All right, let's do one more example just to make sure we got this down and you understand how this works. So this one is y equals x squared minus 8x plus 16. Again, we're going to do our quadratic formula here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, my b here is negative 8. So negative 8, this is going to be positive 8, plus or minus the square root. Negative 8 squared minus 4. My a is 1, and my c is 16. All divided by 2a, so 2 times 1. All right, I'm going to calculate my discriminant. That's what's inside the radical. My negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. I'm going to get x equals 8 plus or minus. You can put that right inside your calculator, But essentially what I'm going to get is 64 minus 16, or excuse me, 64 minus 64, which is 0. So I have 8 plus or minus the square root of 0 divided by 2. Now I should probably show you this out just so you understand exactly what I'm talking about here. But just like last week, we really have two different answers. It's just our answers are going to end up being the same because this discriminant is 0. So we've got 8 plus 0 divided by 2, and then 8 minus 0 divided by 2. Now whether I add 0 or I subtract 0, I'm still going to end up with 8 in the numerator. So my answer here, I'm going to get x equals 8 divided by 2, which is 4, or again 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So we're going to see that this particular example, again, has one solution. All right, so at this point, you guys have seen the quadratic formula. We've seen it many times. We've seen it where it has two solutions. Yesterday, we saw where there's no real solution. And today, we saw where there's one solution. Let me know if you guys have any questions.